Hello, I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to introduce you to our feedback and teaching evaluation initiative. We undertook this initiative as part of the Maynooth University Strategic Alignment of Teaching and Learning Enhancement. This meant that we were part of a larger team of academics from right across the university's 3 faculties, all working on initiatives to develop feedback and teaching evaluation. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our social science contribution to this large undertaking. In our department, there are 3 distinct teams: a social policy team, a community and youth work team, and a social work team. And although distinct, we share values and practices, and we all work towards the same common mission: to promote human rights, social justice, and equality through excellence and innovation in education, research, and public engagement. Our education programmes span the range from academic programmes to professional programmes. For example, we have professional placements, we have return to education programmes, and community learning programmes. And this really broad remit means that we have to be creative in the ways that we engage with what are essentially diverse student groups who are participating in fundamentally different learning experiences. Therefore, our involvement in this feedback and evaluation initiative builds on a long history of student-centred teaching and learning with student partnership core. As I mentioned, our department has 3 distinct teams. So for this project, the coordinators of the 3 distinct social science master's programmes decided to work collaboratively to see not only what we could learn together, but also what we could learn from each other about feedback and evaluation. Let me introduce our team leads. I'm Niamh Flanagan, and I coordinate the Masters in Rights and Social Policy. Ciara Bradley is the coordinator of the Masters in Community and Youth Work, and Gloria Kerwin is the coordinator of the Masters in Social Work. When we compared notes at the outset, it became really clear that with such a diverse team and diversity within our department, one standard activity across the whole department wasn't going to be very effective. And our conceptualisation of what feedback and evaluation would look like in our department grew from this realisation. We started with a focus on students giving feedback to staff, and we brainstormed what we already did in this regard and what we could do, such as staff-student forums, our post-placement reflections, end-of-term evaluations. But we quickly realised that if we expected students to give quality feedback, as educators, we needed to model quality feedback. We needed to demonstrate what good quality feedback looked like and how it should be relayed. So our model grew to include a second dimension of feedback: staff to student feedback. The kind of activities we brainstormed here were providing regular written or oral feedback to a set standard, both in terms of quality and in terms of quantity, and using online tools to give students a record of the feedback. As I mentioned earlier, 2 of our master's programmes are practitioner programmes, and for these students, feedback was more than just a way of communicating with academic staff. It was a really important skill that they would need when working as practitioners. So this led to the 3rd dimension of our model: peer-to-peer feedback. Clearly, what our department needed to develop wasn't so much activities for feedback and evaluation, but a culture of feedback and evaluation, where each of the components would work together: student to staff feedback, staff to student feedback, and peer-to-peer feedback. Our action plan focused on these 4 dimensions, and we found ourselves developing a toolbox of activity for each one, because some activities were more suited to one programme than the other. And also, in reality, these activities need to be kept fresh. They need to not become part of the furniture, so we needed a variety of tools that we could use. Starting with student to staff feedback, we first focused on building relationships to foster engagement, which would facilitate honest feedback between students and staff. We created meaningful and routine opportunities for feedback, like check-ins, discussions, use of audience participation software, in addition to the traditional survey feedback mechanisms which we already used. We gathered feedback via these mechanisms, and very importantly, we made every effort to respond and to close the feedback loop. Moving on to staff to student feedback, We started by asking students what they thought good feedback was. There was some learning for us in this, and it allowed us to manage expectations where necessary. We established routine and standardised practice which we disseminated across the department for providing feedback. For example, increasing the use of feedback tools on our VLE. Moving on to peer-to-peer feedback. This was probably the most popular dimension of our work with the students. We built skills of giving and receiving feedback. And while this was initially seen as more important for the practitioner students, the benefits and the popularity of these activities became evident in the academic programme too. So we embedded peer-to-peer feedback across a number of modules. And finally, at the cultural level, simply working as a cross-programme team was really informative and really creative. Measuring success of initiatives with an independent consultant let us know what was and wasn't working. And moving forward, we plan to audit the many existing feedback practices in our department with the view to sharing, discussing these, building consciousness of practices and embedding practices in our growing department. Of course, we also hope to write and to publish about our culture of feedback and disseminate some of the great ideas that we've come across more widely. The independent evaluation by an external consultant gave us a great sense of what students thought. But one quote that stands out for us was that the group liked that their voice was important to the university. And that's what it's about, creating a culture of feedback and evaluation where everyone's voice is valued. Thank you for your interest in our feedback and evaluation project. If you'd like to know more about the project, we'd be delighted to answer any questions you might have, and you can contact us at the email below.